Good evening and welcome back. The Board of Selectmen has been in executive session. If you all can please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. First up this evening is a report from Acting Chief Dunn. Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to let everybody know about all the great things going on at the Falmouth Police Department. Our staffing, first I'll tell you, is, as you're aware, we're funded for 58. We've just recently hired 2 new people from the civil service list. A Melissa Martin and a Tyler Nabone. The bad thing is there's no academy. The next academy is in July 2013, and they will be traveling back and forth to Boylston. That's the closest academy. So we'll get them in there. They're all registered. They're all ready to go. 2 of our military officers have returned back to work. Great to have them back, and they are actively working. We still have 3 unfilled positions that we will be looking at in the next coming year, but a lot of it has to do with academies. Like I said, the state's not funding a lot of them, so the closest one we could get was July. So those other positions we have to wait until there's something in the future. Dispatcher, we had 1 vacant part-time position. We filled that, so our dispatcher staff is up and running, complete. Which is great. Calls for service. Self-initiated calls. These are the calls that the officers do out on the street. Those are self-initiated. There's been this quarter. There's been 3,162 of them. Dispatch received. Those are the calls that come in through 911 or the phone. 3,290 for a total of 6,452 calls total since the first of the year. That's about a 7.6% increase from the last quarter. Our detective division, doing an outstanding job for the amount of detectives that we've had. I have a couple of them that are out injured right at the moment, and we had cut that division back in 2010. But some of the great work, and it's really important that you hear about this, is since the first of the year, they've recovered and made arrest on seizures of over a pound of marijuana, 30 grams of cocaine, 300 grams of heroin, and 250 Percocet pills. 235 of those came from 1 individual last week when we had an arrest where they did search warrants. They seized the 235 Percocets and close to $10,000 in cash. They've conducted 10 search warrants. We've seized 2 vehicles. We have recovered 5 illegally possessed firearms. It's 5 more firearms off the street. A total of $15,000 in cash has been seized. They've also solved back in the early part of the winter, late fall, we had a robbery at Westie Shoe out in Wacoit. That has been solved. And I'm also pleased to say that the secondhand dealers, the bylaw that we enacted last year, is working great. All the secondhand dealers are complying. They're checked weekly. And because of that, we've been able to recover some stolen property and charge those individuals with receiving stolen property and get that property back to the people. The dealers are following the bylaw, as far as the information, recording the information, the person's information, and it's a great program, and it's really working. The big thing is that we're able to get property back to the owner. I know you've all seen our 5 new cruisers. They've been great. The officers absolutely are thrilled with them. They are a great vehicle, and I'm glad we had all-wheel drive vehicles this winter because of all the snow. I've been getting a lot of positive feedback from the public. We did have a viewing back in January. It was kind of a cold day, so there weren't many people that showed up, but we're going to do another viewing. And I've told people, please come, if you see one on a call, ask the officer. They're happy to show it to them. The gun buyback program we participated in, that was a partnership with the John Wesley Methodist Church. The driving force behind that was a Tiffany Van Moy. I'm proud to say that we collected over 206 weapons that day of unwanted weapons. These are just extra weapons people had in their homes, and they didn't want them anymore. So we've got 206 weapons off the street. And we're continuing that program. If somebody does have a weapon that they do not want, they can contact the police department. We have gift cards that were donated by Bangkok Cuisine, Pie a la Mode, Supreme Pizza, and Sub and Peking Palace. And we have those at the police department, and you bring a weapon in, we'll be more than happy to give you a gift card. The Homeland Security generator that I spoke about last year, that is here. We didn't need it during any of our storms, but it is here. It is for regional use for the Southeast region. It is being housed at the DPW facility. And that generator, I've had a lot of questions about neighborhoods and homes and things like that. It's for large buildings. It's for the nursing homes, the police department, the fire department, town hall, the rec center, and things like that. Should go down. It's not really designed for residential homes or a neighborhood. So, some of the upcoming events that we're planning for: the Police Memorial Day. That's Police Week. Wednesday, May 15th, 2013. We're going to have our memorial out in front of the police department to memorialize Samuel Pierce, the only Falmouth police officer to die in the line of duty on a motorcycle accident. And I'm proud to say that last year they were able to get the flagpole moved, but this year the memorial will be complete. The materials had been donated by JJ Materials. The DPW, again, helped move the flagpole and some of the electrical work. Clover Landscaping and Clover did the benches in the monument. And right now, JKA Masonry is installing the stones, and it's coming out really, really well. So we'll have that all done for May, so we'll have a memorial there that day. And the other events that we're preparing for, the street fair this summer, 4th of July, we're gearing up for that, and the Falmouth Road Race. And National Night Out this year, which is held nationally on a Tuesday night in August. We had done them in the neighborhoods in the past. Last year, and we leave that up to the neighborhoods. Last year, we only had one neighborhood reach out to us, and we participated with them, bringing cruises and little souvenirs for the children and letting them touch the cruises and all that. This year, we've decided to do something a little bit different. We're going to hold it at the police station. So it's going to be a combination National Night Out and an open house for the police department. And we want people to come. And the final thing that we're preparing for is the upcoming retirement party for Chief Riello. And that is on May 3rd, 2013 at the Coonamessett Inn. And tickets are available out of my office should anybody want to attend. And I'll answer any questions.
Okay. I'm going to open it up to any questions. I do have a couple for you, Chief. One is, wasn't this supposed to be an opportunity for one of those academies, one person this spring, and we missed that, or there wasn't one? Or?
The timeline getting people done, we had seats reserved in the Plymouth Academy.
That's great. Okay.
And all that is you put in a request that you have people that you want to send. They will not hold that seat until you actually have all the paperwork done, and that includes physicals, psychologicals, the interview process, the whole piece. So that all takes time, getting them scheduled as far as the psychologicals and the PT test that has to be done through the state. And once that was complete, then you send the completed form in. By the time we get the completed form in, those seats were given away because it's a first come, first served basis. But we are registered for the Boylston Academy.
Now, these two new officers, are they willing to wait to begin in July?
They are.
Okay, great. Cash seizures, what happens to that money?
That money goes into the law enforcement account that we have. That money can be spent back to investigations for equipment. It's the drug asset forfeitures, and only the police department can spend that money. And it has to be used for investigative purposes.
Okay, great. The new cruises look great. Had a couple of complaints. People don't know that they're cruises.
That seems to be the only complaint. Everybody's used to the Crown Vic.
That's not fair.
They can pick up the Crown Vic headlight at night. They have to learn the new style.
I know, that's perfect. Thank you. I'll open it up to any questions from the board.
No, I don't have any questions, no. This is
Oh,
a good report.
that sounds great. Thank you
Great.
very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. See you at town meeting, I hope.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Next up is a presentation from the Energy Superstar Awards, the Energy Committee, and he'll be doing this evening. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Megan Amsler. I'm the chair of the Falmouth Energy Committee. Thanks. And I would like to take this opportunity tonight to formally recognize the outstanding efforts made in the area of energy efficiency in 4 categories. Our committee looks at residential efforts, municipal, nonprofit, and local business. So for tonight, we have here Don and Eileen Mallinson, and they are getting the residential award. They have built a zero-energy home in East Falmouth. The homeowners are being recognized by the Energy Committee for their demonstration of how to marry aggressive energy efficiency and renewable energy together. They have sited their home appropriately to take advantage of the solar, both passive and active solar gain. They have a 5.4 kilowatt solar electric system. There's no conventional heating system in the house, and it's a zero energy home. So we would like to take this opportunity to present you with your award. Thank you very much. The next award goes to the Falmouth Police Department. The Falmouth Energy Committee chose the Police Department as a recipient of the Municipal Award, as they have been diligently working with the facilities director to address some of the energy issues in their building. They have installed a new energy management system along with occupancy sensors for lighting and made some much needed upgrades in the HVAC system. All of these measures, which are done through the Cape Light Compact's municipal program, make a difference in improving the comfort of the building and help reduce energy consumption and save money. Thank you. The next award goes, and I don't know if anybody's here from WCAI, but WCAI receives the award for nonprofit category. The Energy Committee would like to recognize their efforts to remodel an historic building and take the unique opportunity that is often overlooked to address the integrity of the building's envelope and the energy performance of that envelope. CAI worked with a local architect and some local, the Valley Group is the local contractor, and they are definitely, as a group, very committed to making buildings perform much better in terms of energy. And so this building now looks beautiful. It was built back in the 1840s, and now it has been de-asbestified, and it has a clapboard exterior, and then behind that clapboard exterior is lots and lots of insulation and air sealing. So it's really terrific. It looks great, and it's a high-performing building now, and we're really excited. Is there anybody here from the group? I guess not. And then the final award that we would like to give out tonight goes to a local business here on Main Street, 8 Cousins Bookstore. Carol Chittenden. We would like to recognize Carol's efforts to implement energy efficiency recommendations through the Cape Light Compact's commercial energy audit program. And they have saved quite a bit of energy for you. And that's really a great example that a lot of other businesses along Main Street and throughout the community can take advantage of. So we're really thankful. Thank you so much. So that's it for us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next up is a request for a transfer of all alcoholic seasoned common victual license and entertainment license. The Flynn Group, DBA Silver Shores Santee, 465 Grand Avenue in Falmouth. Before we get going this evening, I'd like to disclose that I'm the holder of an all alcoholic seasonal liquor license for the applicant.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Robert Mills. I represent the Flynn Group Incorporated. We've got several of the officers and directors here with us this evening. To my immediate right is Robert Flynn, Jr., the principal, and next to him is Ted Murphy. We also have with us this evening Eric Bevins. Evan, you want to stand up for 1 sec, please? who is one of the officers and directors, and Thomas Hughes. Tom? We're seeking a transfer of a license that's presently in the name of the Avenue Seafood and Pizzeria LLC. As you all know, it's on 465 Grand Avenue in the Falmouth Heights and has been there for many years, operating as a small ice cream facility, fried clam type operation. I'm happy to announce that Mr. Flynn wants to continue in that same vein, and really as a family operation. So we got two Flynn groups with us this evening. We also have Bobby's Flynn group. We have Bridget with us this evening, and also Bob's son, Matthew. Matthew, you want to stand up for a minute? Matthew's a college student at the present time, and Bridget's a senior at Falmouth High School. She'll be attending Johnson & Wales next fall. So we hope that they're going to join us this summer as the primary employees of the facility. As you know from the information in front of you, we have a 2-year lease with Antonio Rodino, who's the trustee and the owner of the property. We also have an option to renew after 2 years or an option to extend at the pleasure of the license holders. The corporation has voted for Robert Flynn to be the manager. He's been in the business many, many years. He, in excess of 30 years, and he'll tell you a little bit more about himself in a second. But he operated Charlie Flynn's on Tremont Street for over 12 years. He's worked at the Mashney Island Grill over in Mashney Island in Bourne for 4 years. And he's currently at the Quahog Republic Dive Bar here in Falmouth on Spring Bars Road. So he's well-versed and well-trained in the service of alcoholic beverages as well as food. Mr. Flynn will be the prevailing presence as the manager. He also has in mind to engage the services of Kelly Cook. Kelly's been involved in the business for over 8 years, and she will be joining Bobby at the bar. They're both trained and certified. I have a copy of their tip certification with me. Mr. Chairman, may I approach you?
Sure.
Thank you. That's their tip certification.
Put it in the file, thank you.
There, yep. And so it's really going to be a family-style restaurant. Silver Shore Shanty has a small story to it, and I'd like at some point for Mr. Murphy to share his story as to how that name came about. But that's the DBA that we've elected for the facility. I have some menus here which would kind of give you an indication of the types of foods that they intend to serve. You just pass those down. Appreciate it. The setup is, what we're proposing for a setup is the setup that presently exists. There's 8 tables on the inside, and there's 9 tables on the outside. We would like to keep it in the same format, consistent with the floor plan that we've filed with the board. The menu, as you can see, is pretty traditional Cape Cod beach-type fare, fried foods, some burgers, and that type of thing. But there's a passage of note on the back side, if you will, of the menu. There's a passage as to the origins of the Silver Shore Shanty. And Ted, maybe you can just briefly relate to the board where this comes from. And
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me here. I'm a professional writer of 20 years, and I wrote the Belltown Mystery Series for kids before this. But a couple of years ago, my brother and I wrote the book, The Running Waves. And what we like to think of it is a healing book. It deals with a tragedy that happened in this town that affected a lot of young people. But the book has done well. We've sold a lot of books, so that's good. But it also has healed a lot of wounds, and the town was called Silver Shores. So when I was approached by Mr. Flynn, who is also a friend, it seemed like the natural fit because I live right around the corner of this place. As a kid, I went there. I would get my money and get my ice cream, and we thought it would be great to team up and continue that family-run place. So.
thanks, Deb. Appreciate that. So what we're contemplating is plastic service on the outside, plastic cups and paper plates and that type of thing. Inside would be a little bit more sophisticated, not real sophisticated, but a little more sophisticated with regular dining plates and glasses and that type of thing. We've proposed to have a hostess station, and I don't know if you can tell from your plan, but if I might again, Mr. Chairman, approach.
Go right ahead.
This is the floor plan here. This is...
We gotta be careful, you gotta bring the microphone with you, or you
Okay,
can speak at
yeah.
the same time.
There's Grand Ave at the bottom there, and you'll see that I drew a red square box there. There's going to be a hostess station there, okay? And that's a way that we're going to try to control the crowd. I'll go back to the podium. What we're proposing is to install fencing. It's going to be a new style of fencing. The fencing that presently exists is sort of rotten, a little bit dilapidated. We're going to replace it with new fencing. The fencing that's in the front and on the side is fairly dilapidated. We've got a new proposal of a bamboo-style fencing. It's not a permanent fixture, however. It's would be stabilized with legs. But that'll be a way that we can contain the crowd. There'll be a specific egress and access area, and that's where the hostess station will be, so that we can monitor the service of alcohol and people who are coming in and people who are leaving. So that's one of the proposals we have in terms of traffic patterns, if you will. Lighting is on the building. You can see from that front page, there's 3 lights on the building and on the front. They all face downward, so there won't be any kind of intrusion of lighting on neighboring properties or on the street for that matter. And on the side of the building where the parking lot is, there's lighting there which adequately lights up the parking lot. In terms of alcohol storage, there's a facility upstairs. It's sort of like an attic, but that's where they're going to store the excess alcohol. Down at the bar level, there's a locked cabinet where alcohol will be stored after hours. And essentially, I guess at this point in time, I'd like to turn it over just briefly to Mr. Flynn. He can tell you a little bit about himself and we'll entertain any questions. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Robert Flynn, and I brought with me my son Matthew and Bridget. My whole idea of doing this, I've been in the business now for almost 40 years. I started out as a dishwasher at the Seacrest Hotel in the early 70s. Have progressed through the restaurant business, both in the kitchen, out the front of the house. I've owned three other restaurants before that were very successful. Helped put my first 2 through college with that, and Bridget and Matthew are both interested in this endeavor, and I thought it would be a great way to keep my 2 kids in Falmouth. I'd like to build the business with them and have them take it over in the future. Bridget's going off to Johnson & Wales College, as we talked about earlier, and Matthew has been cooking in local restaurants for the last 3 years. So they both want to stay in Falmouth. They want to be in the business, and I thought it would be a great way for us to get together, teach them what I know, and have them solidify some roots here and stay here for the long term. And that's basically my reason for doing this.
Great. Go ahead, Pat.
I just want to say that with all these outstanding Flynns here tonight, I regret that I am not related to any of them.
Well, thank you.
A couple of questions, if I might.
Sure.
The hours of operation for the liquor license?
Liquor license 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., but we plan on closing at 10.
Okay.
I'd ask for 11 in case there was
Okay.
a Red Sox game or a full dining room at that time, gives people time to get out.
Sure. And I did notice that your entertainment license is from 4 to 7 p.m.
Yes, in the afternoon, Saturday and Sunday afternoon only.
It's just, okay, 4 to
Yes.
7, okay. Any questions from the board?
I did just have one.
Yeah, sure.
Just to clarify on the taxes being outstanding,
There-
whether it's been cleared up or not?
There is a note in the file that they were cleared this today,
Okay,
so the taxes are up to date.
great.
There are a couple of things that would be necessary in regard to the issuing of any motion this evening. One is that they comply with a building inspection, which needs an occupancy permit. The Board of Health has not been contacted yet. You'd need a Board of Health certificate, and those are just standard procedures in the form before you issue the license. So you understand those
Absolutely.
issues as well.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, anybody else, any questions? I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we
gonna give
approval
public
subject
comment.
to obtaining all necessary permits and inspections.
So I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second?
Motion is second. I'll open it up to any public comment. For, against, Anybody? Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Very good.
So
Congratulations.
much, I
Welcome.
appreciate this, thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is a report of MMR update, MMR Commanders and Executive Director. Good evening and welcome.
The council has a phone book, too.
Yes, yes, you may. If you're going to move tonight, you need to take the microphone with you for the audience at home. Okay.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
I'm great, thanks.
And I apologize for the delay. You'd already gotten into executive session when I got here.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
couldn't get in. I apologize for that.
It's not a problem.
But to start off, I think this is the third year in a row we've come and briefed the boards of selectmen from all the surrounding towns of the MMR. And it's really worked out well for us to be able to come out and meet the boards and tell them what we're up to on the base, is to give them an insight as to where we are and where we're heading. And in this past year, we've been very successful in terms of accomplishing our missions and then looking ahead to the future for future opportunities. We've had change. I was the commander of Camp Edwards, and right now we have a new commander who's not with us tonight. His administrative officer is here, Major Ed Gallagher. But I've moved on to be the deputy to the new executive director of the MMR, but I'm also going to be retiring in June, so this is probably my last selectmen's meeting on that. And we have the new executive director is Colonel Anthony Schiavi, and he's since going to be moving on now too. He's going to become the town manager in the town of Ashland as he winds down his military career. And with me tonight, I'd like to introduce Brigadier General Gary Keefe, who's going to be the incoming executive director for the MMR.
They're all putting on me.
Very good.
On that. Uh-oh. What's that? Yeah, I can do it without the slides if need be. Hold up the.
Is there one in there, huh?
It's gonna take a minute, so.
Okay.
If you want, I can get started, we can read on with the slides, so I'm going to hold up the board's meeting on that. The first slide is pretty self-explanatory. The Massachusetts Military Reservation, 22,000 acres, we're all aware of that. But if you look at the next slide, the miracle of GIS, we overlapped all of the other military bases in Massachusetts on top of the MMR. And you can see, they all fit. It's by far the largest military reservation within the state, and also New England. And the next slide kind of takes that a little bit further. We looked at the economic impact of the base. And this was a study done through the Donahue Institute at UMass through a grant with Senate President Therese Murray with Mass Development. And if you, oh, okay, here we are. Slideshow?
Where is it?
Right down on the bottom. Oh. Let's see, if we go to home.
View. Sorry, where do you see it?
Right on that, right
Okay, sorry about that.
there. What? Okay, let's see if this works. Okay. Okay, that was the slide I had mentioned about the size of the MMR in relation to the other military bases in Massachusetts. It's pretty amazing when you overlay that and see how big the MMR really is. The next slide is the economic impact. Now, if you look at Hanscom, you look at the Natick Soldier Systems Center, those two bases are involved in research and development. But if you look at the other bases which have an operational mission, such as ours, we have the highest total economic impact within the state here at the MMI. We're pretty proud of that, and it's because of the diverse mission we have, with 4 different services doing 4 different things, all pushing in the same direction. Next slide. And the management structure has been evolved over time, too. After BRAC, we developed a Joint Installation Partnership Agreement along with the Joint Oversight Group. And that group is the 4 commanders on the base, who, no one commander is in charge, but the 4 of us, or the 4 of the commanders, work together in unison to resolve issues in a commonality within each one of the services. And that interagency cooperation has worked well over the years. And General Rice, when he became the Adjutant General, wanted to take that the next step further, hence the development of the Executive Director's Office. And the Director's Office, from our perspective, it provides the commanders the ability to focus on their operational mission, but at the same time have a forum that we all can get together and discuss areas of mutual interest. And the public, specifically the 4 surrounding communities, have one point of contact on the base. So when they call, they're able to make contact with the leader who is in a decision-making role on the base. And we think that's important as we go forward to try to improve our relevancy on the base, improve our ability to work with the surrounding communities to see what we can do to share resources, to share all aspects of the base to make both our communities and the base better. One aspect of that right now is the joint land use plan that we're working on together with the Cape Cod Commission. We've had our first planning meeting about a month or so ago. Early next month, we'll have our second. And the sole focus on that is resource sharing. We can share with the communities and they can share with us. One of those major activity that we're looking at right now is the wastewater treatment plant. As BRAC evolved and the 102nd Fighter Wing became the intelligence wing, that's not one of their core missions anymore, is to work on infrastructure. So working with Mass Development, working with the Cape Cod Commission, we're looking to try to find ways to regionalize those services. And I hope by the time the plan is developed, we'll have that in place and it'll be a model for the rest of the country. So that's a little bit of the background of where we're heading in terms of how we're going to lead, the base is going to lead into the future. And right now, I'm going to turn it over to each one of the services to talk about their respective missions. And the commander of the 102nd Intelligence Wing got called away unexpectedly pretty quickly, but so I'll go over briefly what is on his agenda. And the force structure in the Air National Guard has been pretty dynamic over the past couple of years. We thought we had it square, whereas they became the 102nd Intelligence Group, and then we had the 102nd Air Operations Group with it. The National Defense Authorization Act almost took that away this year with the budget, for budget reasons. Working with our congressional delegation, specifically Congressman Keating, we were able to restore that in the budget, and so it'll remain at the MMR, hopefully into the long future. We're also consolidating from across the state. We're bringing the 212th Engineering Squadron, which is currently located in Milford, Mass., and we're closing down the Milford facility because we built our new headquarters up at Hanscom Air Force Base. So the 212th is going to be moving back to the MMR, along with the other comm squadron down here, what we find is a good fit. They're also finishing up their 2 MILCON projects that have been going on for some time now, and we hope to have those finished this year. And we have a third project in the wings for a solar array, a 6 to 8 megawatt solar field to be located on top of the former landfill plant. So there's funding in place for that, and we're looking to start that sometime before the end of this fiscal year. And they've completed pretty much all of the demolition of their facilities, and we're looking to the future with the 102nd. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Major Gallagher to talk about Camp Edwards.
Good evening. As the Colonel said, I'm Major Ed Gallagher. I'm the Administrative Officer for Camp Edwards. Speaking to you tonight on behalf of Colonel Greg McDonald, who's the new commander of Camp Edwards. As you can see with a lot of the different things we have going on, our main focus is training soldiers and preparing them to go overseas to fight our nation's wars. We've done a lot in the past few years to increase their ability to train and perform all of their tasks at home station as opposed to going to mobilization stations, which is our traditional path. We can do the soldier validation lane, which allows a soldier to go through his primary and collective tasks in a realistic environment right on the MMR, and doing so in an environmentally friendly way. We've also brought in a couple of new resources. One's called the HEAT, or the Humvee Egress Trainer, which basically it's a model of a Humvee on a big spindle, and we put soldiers in it and we spin it around, so they're simulating being in a rolling over vehicle. We have another rollover trainer for a MRAP, which you might have heard of on the news. That's excuse me, the mine-resistant ambush-proof vehicles that we're using overseas. We train them on counter-IED tactics, on how to identify and defeat improvised explosive devices. And now, with the opening of Sierra Range, we can do full weapons qualification for their individual weapons, the M4, the M16. So we're pretty happy about that. Down the road in the future, we're looking to increase the amount of weapons qualification they can do so that we can process through, just basically increasing our throughput, so we can take, instead of a company-sized unit, a battalion-sized unit, and they can conduct their weapons qualification in what we traditionally call an IDT weekend, or a drill weekend. It's your traditional 1 weekend a month that most guardsmen are serving. Like the Air Guard, we have a couple of military construction projects going on. 2 of them this year are the Utes facility, which is a unit equipment maintenance facility, and then next year, 14, sir, for the RTI, and TY14, we're looking at a regional training institute, a new schoolhouse, which we're hoping to develop into the Homeland Security Institute. Right now, it does a lot of our other military training. The last thing I'd like to mention is we do have room to grow, and we're trying to show the public as much as we can. We are having an open house on 21-22 September, and I'd like to invite all of you in the township to come join us and see what we do. Much bigger demonstration going on, and well, a picture paints 1,000 words, and a demonstration more than that. So please come out and see what we do. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be followed by Coast Guard.
Well, good evening. Thanks again for spending some time with us. I too am on my way out. June 3rd is the change command.
Is this the last stop, this place?
This is, yeah. We sent Julian an invitation, but you're all invited, and we'll send it via him. So thanks again for spending some time with us. As I've told you before, the Coast Guard overall, we protect man from the sea. We protect the sea from mankind. We prevent the sea from doing harm to our nation. So those are very broad terms. What we do from Air Station Cape Cod specifically is from the Canadian border down to southern Jersey is our area of operations. We currently support that. We are the only aviation asset within Coast Guard aviation within the Northeast. We have 3 HU-25 Falcon jets. I have 2 of the new HC-144 Ocean Sentry planes, which are in the lower left-hand corner here. And I'm supposed to be getting a 3rd here this summer, between June and July, I hope. And we still have 4 of the H-60 helicopters. We not only provide support to the entire Northeast corridor, but we're also deployed worldwide as well. And right now, one of our helicopters is down in the Florida area, supporting the drug and migrant operations down there. One of the unusual things, and Rich Crivello mentioned a little bit about it, is in the joint concept that we have here. It's really a symbiotic relationship between the 4 major commands. It's unusual for the Coast Guard to have such a major support role here. So in addition to the aviation piece, we're also the 2nd largest base, support base in the Coast Guard. And we provide the services for exchange to identification cards, to the bowling alley, to the swimming pool, and a lot of services that we're normally the recipients of at other DoD bases. Economic impact from the Coast Guard, we have over $27 million a year in salaries. And that's from not just my command, where I have about 400 members, both active duty and civilian, but also there's another 300 Coast Guard members that we support in the other commands, Coast Guard commands that are on the MMR. From the future plan standpoint, some of the exciting things that are going on the Coast Guard side, we recently finished the hangar for the new 144s. That was ended up being a $28 million project. We've invested about $10 million in the runways. We have $3 to $4 million a year in support contracts that provide services to our people. We also are looking at a solar field project, probably at the 4 to 6 megawatt level that we're developing in conjunction with the Air Guard. We are looking at a $9 million new unaccompanied personnel housing barracks for our people. What that will allow us to do is to convert the old barracks that has really served its life function as a barracks and convert that into office space and allow us to move a number of the different commands and personnel divisions that are in buildings that were supposed to be temporary back in 1970 that are still standing and bring them into a up-to-date office space. Finally, we've been chosen by the DoD to be the only Coast Guard base to have the Healthy Base Initiative, and this is one of the administration's new initiatives specifically targeting obesity and tobacco cessation. And that's going to be open to all of the other commands as well, but the DoD, the Pentagon, is sending out a team. They're supposed to happen today. They ran into a snag, but they'll be coming out soon to introduce that to the base and make that available to all the personnel on the base. And subject to your questions, I will turn that over to Lieutenant Colonel Walt Jack.
Hi, good evening. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Walt Jack. I'm commander of 6th Base Warning Squadron and representing Cape Cod Air Force Station. I am on my way in, so I won't be here for a while. I showed up in June, so it's my first pleasure, or first opportunity, and my pleasure to be able to talk to you tonight. We have the smallest of all the installations at 104 acres, and also the furthest away from Falmouth, but that doesn't mean that we're not an integral part of the community. One of my NCOs is an assistant coach for Falmouth Youth Soccer, and several of our children participate in Falmouth Youth Soccer as well. Like I said, several of our personnel are residents of Falmouth, and I'm a member of the John Wesley United Methodist Church. Our squadron supports the Falmouth Road Race as volunteers, and of course we always enjoy the local shops down here, and particularly the quarterdeck right across the street, which is where we took the Vice Wing Commander the other night, and he had a great time. We were able to open up some of the seafood here. It's far better than what he gets out in Colorado Springs. So the pictures here really tell it all. Our mission is missile warning and space surveillance, and we are a unique mission, and we're proud of it, and we also want our community members to be a part of it as well. We are the only strategic early warning radar that can see the east coast of the United States, and the only radar that can actually warn of a submarine-launched ballistic missile coming out of the Atlantic Ocean. So we're a very, very important part of our nation's defense. But because we can see out 3,000 nautical miles all the way up from Hudson Bay down to the Caribbean Ocean, that means that we can also see deeply into space. So we're doing a space surveillance mission to make sure that near space is protected from satellite collisions, particularly collisions that might impact the International Space Station and human space flight. We have both U.S. and Canadian military members, as well as DoD civilians and BAE system contractors on site. It's just why we refer to ourselves as Team 6. We really are a cross-representation of the United States of America. Of course, we collaborate with the MMR, our local, state, federal, and community authorities as well, and we just hosted a STOP meeting talking about how we would prevent active shooter scenarios, and had Massachusetts State Police up there, as well as the Federal Bureau of Investigation and several other agencies that participate with us. And of course, we're very, very proud of our energy initiatives as well. We just replaced our boiler systems to be low energy use and low emissions. We are installing 2 wind turbines this summer, which will reduce our energy cost by 50%. And we've also installed brand new chillers, which allow us to cool our water using just the winter temperatures around here, which has been, well, we've used it too much, I think, this winter. But again, we are very, very proud of being in the community, and I wanted to thank again the community for the support that we get directly from you, to include military discounts that are provided by many of your shops, as well as the beach passes that are provided to the U.S. Coast Guard that we enjoy, so that we can go to Old Silver and many of the fantastic beaches that we have around here. Thank you.
Well, that concludes our presentation. If there's any questions, specific questions, the
I'll
board
open
would
it
be
up.
glad
Pat?
to.
I have a question. Do you anticipate that any of your funding now or in the future could be affected by the sequester?
It could be,
Would it-
most definitely. And what they were looking at right now is to maintain the personnel portion of the budget at the expense of other portions of it, to try to ensure that the workforce, the continuity of the workforce stays in place, because they're our greatest asset. I think we're going to have a bumpy road for the next couple of years in terms of where the federal budget is going. But I think we're positioned well enough that, because we act so jointly, that we won't have a major effect on it.
Do you anticipate that the funding would affect personnel or construction programs or both?
I think the construction programs, at least for federal fiscal year 13, are secure. We're just about ready for be able to go to bid on the unit training and equipment site, the maintenance facility. The Air Guards funding is still in place. The operations and maintenance portion of the funding, the stuff money that we use every day, I think that's where we'll see our biggest downsizing on it. The people where we pay the salaries from, I think will stay in place for the next couple of years, and it'll stay constant.
Is that pretty much going to happen at most of the installations around the country, do you think?
They are. All services are looking towards, not so much, it was not only the sequester, but the coming end of hopefully, the end of the hostilities in Iraq and Afghanistan is to downsize the military to meet whatever emerging threat is coming, because one's going away, there might be another one coming up, so they're trying to right-size the military, and there could be some downsizing on that.
Thank you.
Are we done with base closures, or we had that scare of, I think, in the last year about another BRAC closing? Is that
BRAC
over?
is always a possibility. I've not seen anything direct from the Congress saying, yes, we're going to have another BRAC. They were talking about federal fiscal year 15, but right now, I don't see anything right now on the horizon that we've seen. I'm not sure, sir, if there's...
There's talk about...
We're going to need you to come to the microphone for those folks.
Oh, sure.
I'm sorry, it'd be great.
No problem. Like Colonel Crivello said, there's been talk about a 2015 BRAC. However, with sequestration going on, and the fact that the DOD was downsizing in the budget that we were hoping to maintain through a continuing resolution that they finally agreed upon was less than previous years, I think we'll avoid BRAC for 2015. Congressman Keating's been great helping us hang on to the AOG. We are constantly looking for new missions. Our goal is to always, at least as a minimal, maintain our manning levels on the Army and the Air Guard side at Otis Air National Guard Base. Otis has a great communications pipeline, we call it, running into the base there. So much so that originally we had planned on moving our engineer and installation squadron and our combat comm units, 2 squadrons, up to Hanscom to be where our brand-new headquarters is. But we looked at what Otis had to offer in regards to communications pipeline, and Hanscom couldn't compare to it. So we made the decision to move our combat comm units down there. We're in the process of always looking for new missions. You probably hear everyone talking about cyber. You know, everybody wants to get into cyber, but nobody can really define it. It's like grabbing smoke, you know. So we have a strategic planning group that we've got some plans in place to lay the groundwork for future missions, and we just always want to make sure that our men and women in uniform on the MMR, Otis and Camp Edwards and the Coast Guard are relevant. So we're looking at some cyber missions as well, and we're doing some things with the Homeland Security Institute, where we're partnering with MIT Lincoln Labs and MITRE, and actually even Harvard. We run a joint course with Harvard as well. So we're trying to get into the whole Homeland Security portion, because we've got these guys sharing the base with us, and it's, you know, we're Title 32, so that gives us a little bit more leeway to do some things that our Title 10 active duty brethren can't. So we're always looking ahead, and I can honestly say the MMR is going to be around for a long, long time. So.
Great. That's wonderful to hear. Thank you.
No, and I'm quite honest with you, I'm from the western part of the state, and the way that when we went through BRAC 2005, I was Director of Human Resources for the Army in the Air, and the way the community rallied around Otis is really what saved it. So we'd like to thank you all for continuing to support the base.
We know how much it means to our economy. We know how much those folks have assimilated themselves into our communities over the years.
Well, thank you, and like I said, we look forward to many, many years in partnership with you all, so thank you.
Anyone else on the board? Any questions? Thank you very much. We appreciate you staying in touch with us. Thank you. You had a question? Yes? Come right up to the microphone.
Malcolm Donald, 124 Ambleside Drive. In your report, you said you're going to be putting up 2 wind turbines. Has there been any discussion with the town? We have 2 wind turbines that are available.
Through me, Malcolm. Through the board.
Through the board, yes.
Okay.
Through you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank
Yes, sir. Has there been any discussion with the military regarding our 2 turbines?
I don't believe there has. Thank you.
Is there going to be any discussion with them?
I don't think we're at that point. We don't have any turbines to get rid of as of yet. Well, if we have a positive vote at town meeting, and then we have a vote at the ballot, we'll have an option there, because then we'll have 2 excess turbines. But at this point in time, we don't have those.
Have you given the commander an idea of what we have, and is he aware of the situation?
That I have no idea about. Yes.
I believe at the WTO pre-process committee, and I think you were there, we were informed that they've already purchased theirs.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, next up this evening is request for special event, townwide litter cleanup, Falmouth Chamber of Commerce, week of April 20 to April 27th. Leslie, are you in?
That's me.
That's you, okay, great.
Leslie Lichtenstein and Louise Poole were the trashy ladies. We took over. When Jane quit, I don't know, after spending 40 years cleaning up the town, I don't know why she had to quit, but anyway. Yes, we do want to do the cleanup again. We have some people in town who happily clean up all year long, but there's a lot of roads that need some help. And I have sent out emails to all the groups I can think of for the Scouts and various homeowners associations, and if I missed you, please call me anyway. I didn't mean to miss you. We want all of you, in groups, by yourself, with a bag, however you want. And we'll see if we can't pick up the town and get it nice and clean.
So you're looking this evening to approve that, as
Yes.
well as a waiver for the $2.50 fee for what is collected
Right.
at our transfer station.
Yes. We will have 2 dumpsters that have been the kind folks at Cavosa and Allied Waste as we did last year. We'll have one just off 151, north in Falmouth, and we'll have one off of 28, down by the bank. So there will be dumpsters for people to put things in. You can put it out with your own trash. The area leaders, we have 10 wonderful people who will be area leaders, and they'll be putting up posters and things. As soon as Jay, the Chamber of Commerce, is sponsoring this and is printing up all the posters and all of our other goodies, as well as giving us coffee and donuts. What more could we ask from the Chamber? But anyway, those people will have all of the information, and there will be information in the paper. Bill has promised me an article, and there will be posters going up. There will be a poster here in Town Hall with all the dates. There are flyers at the precinct meetings, and we hope everybody will come and all that.
Great.
So will you support our cleanup?
So we'll look for a motion to approve the townwide cleanup day with the waiver of the $2.50 a bag at the transfer station.
So moved.
So a
Second.
motion, second. Any further discussion from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you very much
Bill.
for your committed
Thank you, Town of
service.
Falmouth. Please come and clean.
Again, those dates are April the 20th to April the 27th. So if you have a little community group, we'd suggest and ask you to participate and do your own little cleanup that specific day as well. Yes. Yes, are you filming? Not yet. Okay, are you looking to? I am. Go to the microphone and just identify yourself so that we can approve that. Thank you.
I'm John Carlton Foss, and I'm looking to videotape.
Sounds great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, next up is request for a special event, Carousel Lights and Food Festival, Marina Park, for the applicant. This is for May the 18th, Saturday, May the 18th. Setup time is 9 a.m. Event hours are 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Board of Selectmen. My name is Jim Bowen. I'm the president of the Carousel of Light. It gives me great joy to reintroduce our organization to the selectmen and to the community. It was 20 years ago that local artist Lance Schenkel carved a magnificent work of art right here in Falmouth. And we tried to secure it. We worked with him to try to secure it. We formed a nonprofit corporation to secure it into Falmouth and have it here as a permanent installation, with the idea that the funds generated would be used to help those in need. Fast forward 20 years later, here we are again trying our hardest. Lance is back here from California after spending 15 years here. He's approached us to try to make this happen again, and we're looking for a home in Falmouth temporarily, if not permanently. So with your permission, I'd like to just give you a little short 2-minute video to explain what we're doing.
Sounds great. We might need a microphone on that if they're gonna.
Well, we have the speakers, but they're not too powerful.
No, I'm talking a microphone too.
We stood on the sidelines and watched and took pictures and waved and said, "Look at me, Johnny, look at me."
The carousel has always been a magical thing.
The carousel started about 20 years ago, and the concept was to raise money for cancer research. I had a brother-in-law who died of cancer. The carousel was actually carved here in Falmouth. We used wood from the area. Tommy Adams at Katomet Sawmill. We bought the wood from him. And today we're bringing the carousel back. We have 2 truckloads, and we're looking for a permanent location here in Falmouth. We're giving the carousel to the nonprofit corporation.
I am Chelsea, and I am Lance's daughter. The carousel has always been a magical thing for me growing up, to have all of these carousel horses in the shop and walking into the shop and seeing him chainsaw to get the rough form of the horse, and then go through with chisels and sanding paper and fine tune and put all the detail on the horses. and having them all come to life once they're on the carousel mechanism, it's just really magical.
When I met Lance, it was in the 80s, and I remember going to his studio, which was a large barn, and he was carving these creatures, and it was just blew my mind. It was just magical. And I saw these horses coming to life. We talked about what he was going to do with these, and he always had this dream about using the carousel of light, which is what he named it, to help other people.
It's great that this committee has got together so that we can bring it back to Falmouth and have it operating in such an exciting way to raise money for charities.
With your help, we'll be able to raise the funds so that we can make a permanent home for this magnificent work of art.
I'm just really excited that it's going to be alive again.
There's many ways that you can help. If you go to carouseloflight.org or our Facebook page, you can see some of those ways. So that's our little promotional video that Kristen Alexander did recently of Undercurrent Productions for us. And what you were seeing was the horse is actually coming back from California just a couple weeks ago. So tonight we're seeking your permission to have our very first fundraiser at Marina Park to help promote awareness and hopefully some funds to help this happen. Some of my board members are here and the artist himself. And Stan Terrell is here to answer any questions you might have about the festival itself.
Okay. Good evening. Our request is to have a food truck convention or festival at the marina. We're talking of Boston food trucks. 10 Boston food trucks, several local food trucks, music on the stage. We can have something playing, and we're running from 11 o'clock to 4, so it wouldn't interfere with the restaurants' problems and things like that. We have the parking lots that we could use which we have permission to use, is the Island Queen parking lot for overflow, and also the rec center parking lot. They gave us permission to use that as well. Porta potties, we would get more porta potties. I know they have the 2 or 3 at the park right now. Police detail, I don't know yet. I think we should, but that's what we're asking for permission to do.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
The application says there's no entertainment, but I understand now the request is asking that there would be entertainment.
If it's possible on the stage, just music or with no big.
Is it live entertainment or just music? Live entertainment, okay. We just want to make sure that's included in the motion. Question is, an event like this, you have carnivals, liability insurance, you'll have that?
Yes.
Okay. I'm very familiar with the carousel. I remember it years ago. And I remember how much Lance had put into it over the years, and remember the first time it was the Barnstable County Fair. It was a shame to see it leave Falmouth. I don't have a problem with that at all. I think it's a great idea to bring it back to Falmouth. Hope you can find a permanent home.
Thank you.
So we'll be looking for a motion to include the entertainment. I would hope that you're going to try to use some local vendors if those are available.
Oh, certainly, yeah.
Just instead of the ones from Boston.
Oh, absolutely. That's
try to stimulate the economy.
Well, it'll be the Boston Food Festival featuring the Boston food trucks. So we're going to have local. Absolutely.
Okay. So I'll be looking for a motion to approve with liability insurance.
I'll make that motion, but also just to point out, as we heard from the DPW, there is no trash collection during the spring on Saturdays. And so if you guys don't do something about it, the trash will be there until Monday.
Okay.
And would appreciate if your organization would take responsibility for that. It's supposed to be left for 2 days.
Second. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any public comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Good luck, Stan. Okay, next up is request for a sign variance, Barnstable County Fairgrounds. I was going to say it, I don't know if anyone's here for the applicant. Good to see you.
Yes, good to see you. My name is Wendy Brown. I'm the general manager of the Barnstable County Fairgrounds, and I thank you for getting this on the docket, kind of apropos that I'm following the Carousel of Light. What we're requesting is to put a 4x6 digital sign on 151. In addition, a variance from the setback from the road. You should have the plans that were dropped off, I think, the surveyor plans. If you don't, I have copies.
While they're doing that, I have a referral from the Art Calfee, the chairman of the Design Review Committee. The applicant would like to schedule a meeting with the Board of Selectmen to review the freestanding sign application. Their original application was a 4x8 to equal 32 square feet, which exceeds the bylaw, which calls for such signs to be 16 square feet. The top half will show the name of the fairgrounds, and the bottom section will be an electric letter changing sign for the planned events. After meeting with the Design Review Committee, they agreed to a reduction to 24 square feet. The dimensions may be 3.4 by 7 equals 23.8, or 4 by 6 to equal 24 square feet, or some dimensions in between. The committee felt a larger sign would fit better on Route 151 in a section where there are no other signs for a distance of at least a half mile. Also, the sign could show the name of the grounds, which will be Cape Cod Fairgrounds. The committee voted to recommend the sign to the Board of Selectmen. So again, the sign you're asking for tonight is?
4x6.
Okay.
If you want, I do have further pictures of the sign. So Michael here actually put up a demo picture for you so you can see where it will be on the property and exactly what it'll look like in that sign.
Great. Am I to understand, if I can ask a question, this is all electronic, the sign is all?
It is electronic, but there'll be no flashing lights or anything like that. It will be the permanent name of the fairgrounds, and then just room to put 2 lines, so it might say Dog Show, September
Okay.
14th through the 16th.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Is this picture here the actual height of the sign?
Yes,
It is.
The gentleman standing beside that is 6 foot tall. The sign will be approximately 7'3" to 7'6". But that we can shrink it.
The height of it, you're
The
talking,
height,
bring it down.
yes. That 7 column we drop.
Yeah. I know the you folks have quite a few events out there, and a lot of times it's,
That was a lot of the premise. It gets very confusing. As you know, we have multiple entrances into the fairgrounds, so we thought it would also be better for traffic if we could, when the dog show is there, parking lot 4, so people aren't searching all around.
okay. Does anyone have any questions for the applicant?
The one thing I could not tell in the design is where the line of sight is, both heading east and west. Is how far can you actually see it before?
I'm going to defer to Michael, who actually walked everything, and
What we did is,
You have to go to the microphone if that's all right. Thank
Okay, what we did was, we made a sign, actual, the plywood unit, the photos is the actual sign size. You all know where the church is going up on 151. You can see that sign from that, just beyond that entrance of that church. From the Mashpee side, once you get past the Mashpee Eschewment, because there's a few of those, once you get to that intersection, you can also start spotting that sign. So it's clear quite a ways down from both. And as you can see in one of the photos, we actually parked the truck at the exit of that parking lot to give you an idea how far that truck's beyond before it gets to 151 and how far back the sign is going to be.
Okay, go ahead,
Well,
Pat.
I just wanted to say that I think it's a good thing that you changed the name too, to the Cape Cod Fairgrounds, because people do associate it with Barnstable County.
And that is
that's
the,
just not
that
the
is the
case.
ultimate reason why we are doing it. We get confused that we're part of the county and public domain and this and that, so it just seemed to make sense. And, you know, we love residing in Falmouth, it's our home. And I think the sign is a first step. We want to beautify our property. All the split rail fence work that's there, that's falling down, that'll also be fixed within the next couple of months too, so.
I would move to support the recommendation of the Design Review Committee to approve this sign.
Okay, so that's, what they actually asked for was the 24 square foot 4x6 sign.
Yep.
Okay,
Second.
motion and second. Any further discussion from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good, thank you.
Thank
I have
you.
one other question. The
Yes.
setback from the 151, has that been approved also, that we can exceed that?
There is no,
On the plan that was handed out, 151 is a 100-foot setback. We're going to be inside that 50, shown on that, on the surveyor's.
The existing sign is already, I believe.
Right, the existing sign is there already.
Is it a 100-foot setback for structures, though? Does that include signs?
We don't know, that's what we,
The building commissioner, I think, would be able to respond to that.
well, I'd hate to have them come back after they talk to the building commissioner. The whole key with this is so that they can,
I met with Mr. Gore about that. His only concern was the center column being a view problem exiting the parking lot. And we've already clarified that it wouldn't be that, so we haven't processed that, the permits yet, because we haven't even ordered the sign. We can't do that until it gets approved. So that'll be ordered tomorrow.
so you're asking for 48, 10 feet back, or
It's actually, I can explain it, I can.
48 feet from the main entrance?
It's here is where we're exceeding. This is the setback from 151. We're
Right.
going to be 17 feet into that setback. From the edge of the road, we're going to be 10 foot back, which is in the photos. So what we're asking is there any, we need an easement on that 17 feet to locate that sign.
This is your current fence right
This
here,
is our
right?
current
You
fence,
could want it on the outside of the fence.
Well, I think it's replacing that sign that's already there.
Would it help if we made a motion to?
I would think that to do it as per the plan.
All right, Mr. Chairman, then I would make a motion that we approve the plan dated March 25, 2013.
Motion on the location of the sign. Second? Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. So that's
Thank
the
you.
location.
Thank you very much.
You need this back? Or do you-
Actually, we don't.
Okay, we'll leave that with the file because that is part of the motion. Next up, discuss and vote a letter of support to the Mass DOT for a mural on Curly Boulevard, the bikeway overpass. Good evening, Pat.
Good evening. My name is Patricia Johnson, and I'm here for the Friends of Falmouth Bikeways, which is a nonprofit support group for biking-related projects in Falmouth, and we would like you to support our mural project, which we hope to have put on the Curly Boulevard underpass. That's about the 9-mile mark going north on the bike path. It is a large concrete underpass, and AmeriCorps Cape Cod has submitted a proposal to us to fund a environmentally mural with giving an environmental message on both sides, one on the west side and one on the east side. They're both going to be 8 feet tall and 20 feet long. I've submitted pictures. I showed you the map where it is on the bike path in case you weren't familiar. I will say that we have a very successful mural project and a mosaic project on Palmer Avenue, which was put up in 2009. No, it was put up in 2010. When the bike path opened to North Falmouth, there was about 40 years of graffiti on the wall. And we have, with the help of the Barnstable County Sheriff's Community Service Group, we have removed that graffiti and have continued to remove the graffiti up there since 2009. And now we would like to put something on it. And I have the president of Friends of Falmouth Bikeways is here, Bob Fitzpatrick, and my husband is here, and Ed Gross is here from the Falmouth Bikeways Committee. Do you have any questions?
Are the drawings that we've received what's actually going to be designed to plan
Yeah,
to be
they
put
are
up there?
sketches. They're probably, there's going to be probably a little flexibility. That's approximately what the rough outline is of the AmeriCorps proposal.
Just for Cape Cod area, I've never seen porpoises or dolphins in the area, so I'd love for it to be
All
actually
right.
a little bit more
That's a very good point.
accurate. And I wasn't sure if on the west mural, they're talking about actually having the text that's written there.
There is some text going to be, they're going to use like, they use in cartoons, they're going to put some language in that type of setting.
Meaning the AmeriCorps logo, is that?
The AmeriCorps
And
logo
the Title
will
V
go on
septic
it
stuff.
also.
And,
What?
there's text on the picture.
Yes,
talking
that's
about-
just, that's text generated by the computer. They're going to actually write, you know, put some text in that's saying, don't dump this in, the, you know, or where your septic system goes and that kind of thing.
Okay.
So they're putting on, I thought that was, so they're writing in there something about Title V septic systems?
Yeah, I think there's some environmental highlights.
Okay.
It looks like you didn't get color pictures.
Oh, no, they're in the.
Oh, good. Okay, good. Yeah, and those are pretty
I saw the original.
draft. I can't guarantee that's exactly what it's going to look like because they'll probably have
Okay,
some
so
change.
do you want to make a motion, Doug? Or do you have any other questions? Does anyone want to make a motion?
What you're asking us to do is to
We have to send a letter of support.
send a letter of support to DOT.
Yes,
Well, I would
that's
make a
correct.
motion that we send a letter of support to DOT
Second.
for approval of the
Yes.
murals.
Motion and a second. I take it that you'll take Doug's suggestion
Oh,
about the
yes, I'll get-
dolphins under,
We'll put bluefish
under
there.
advisement? Okay.
Or cod.
Or cod, or, yeah, cod.
Or
definitely.
seals.
Striped bass.
Okay.
Seals.
All right.
Great white sharks.
So there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Thank you, Doug.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And
Opposed?
thank you, Julian, for helping us.
Thank you.
get-
To be able to get that letter up there now.
Thank you.
Yep. Discuss and vote a one-year waiver for a discuss and vote waiver for a one-year waiting period for the liquor license application, Seacoast Shores Association, 7 Fairview Lane in Falmouth.
Good evening, Stephen McLaughlin for Seacoast Shores Association. As I'm sure we all recall, back on March 4th, the board voted with all the members present, 3-2, to grant the issuance of the liquor license to Seacoast Shores. and then subsequently, Chairman Murphy's vote was determined to be invalid because of the absence of the first meeting. So we ended up with a 2-2 vote. So I was advised that the way to get this back before the town was to request this waiver to appear with a new application before a one-year waiting period. And so that's why we're here tonight. Obviously, if the board sees fit to grant that waiver, we'll be submitting a new application, we'll be going through the new hearing process, and we'll re-present the merits of the application at that time. Obviously, I wouldn't be here but for the fact that the one vote was disqualified. If it was a vote that was 5-0 against, I'm sure I wouldn't be here. If it was 4-1 against, I wouldn't be here. But in light of the fact that there was a majority that appeared to be in favor, I think it's warranted to at least present it to the board for its discretion.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone on the board want to say anything? Yep, Doug?
I have two questions. I'm not sure to whom they get addressed. One is, what happens if this license is not granted? Does the Seacoast Shore still have the option of going through the one-day licenses that they did last year?
They do. That's yeah, they do have that option.
And the second, I guess, is for the applicant. Is there new information that you're going to be presenting that the board did not have prior to this, when we made our decision, when we had our original vote?
I think it will be the same information.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and would open that up to discussion from anybody in the audience?
If I may clarify that,
Yep.
Mr. Jones, I'm wrong. We have hired a full-time manager. The manager will change. It was Arlene Schubert before. Now it's going to be a different person. I'll name the application.
So there would be some new information.
Yes, I forgot about that. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm gonna let everyone, Pat, would,
No, I can wait till.
okay, I'm gonna take public comment.
Okay, I have a letter. I have a letter I'm gonna read. Get up, so you can hear me. Dear Board, as you know, I live in Seacoast Shores. I was opposed to the liquor license, after which happened last month. I was concerned about the ability of the selectmen to act fairly and make sure that there is no due process protection for everyone, whether they are members or non-members of the association, or whether or not they are friends or individual board members. Also, as you know, I wrote a letter about my concerns regarding Mr. Murphy's vote on the license last month, as he had not participated in the first night of the public hearing. Although it was good to see that he admitted to violating the law, I am greatly concerned about his influence and involvement and motivation. Mr. Murphy admitted violating the law, but has justified why he lobbied for the license even before those of us who opposed the license even got a chance to speak. Amazingly, only 1 week after Mr. Murphy announced the improper participation, the item is back on the agenda, Selectmen's agenda. How did it get on the agenda so quickly, even before being asked by the association in writing? Why does it take so long for other matters to get on the Selectmen's agenda? Now the Seacoast Shores Association not get hurt because of Mr. Murphy's improper actions, but how can the residents feel comfortable that this isn't just a done deal? I believe Mr. Putnam gave the Selectmen the solution. Before you take any other vote on Seacoast Shores, coming up with a policy that allows the board to hold hearings properly without overbearing pressure from one member. Mr. Murphy should have had enough grace to step away from anything to do with this liquor license.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Anybody else? Yes.
Good evening. Joe Apicella, 38 Edgewater Drive East, Seacoast Shores. I just want to say I've dealt with many of you since I moved here 12, 13 years ago, and you know Seacoast Shores had a reputation that was less than stellar, okay? And through the efforts of the Seacoast Shores Association, okay, it has risen up from the ashes, mostly in spite of the regulations and the things that have gone up into town, but we have worked our tails off to make Seacoast Shores what it is today, a thriving community. To deny us this license because of a technicality, I don't think is fair, okay? And I think this is something that you guys have to buddy up over here and do the right thing and grant us the waiver so that we can get back on track to do what we're trying to accomplish over here.
Okay.
Thank
I just want to say that tonight, we're not going to really discuss the license. We're really just discussing the waiver, so I understand where you are, but I just want to make sure that folks understand. Tonight, we're not discussing the license, just whether to waive it and have a full, open hearing as we move forward again, okay? Anybody else? All right, Pat, you had something to say?
I guess what I could say is that this is just a vote to waive the year requirement before they can file again. And I think had there not been a procedural error, it would have, they would have been moving forward. And the summer is coming, so I would think that we would want to help them along here and make the process speedier, which is allowed under the law. And I'm in favor of granting the waiver, so I'll make a motion to grant the waiver.
I'll second that. Mr. Chairman, I'm not opposed to the waiver. It is no fault of the applicant that the circumstances turned out the way they did, so they deserve a full hearing.
Anybody else here?
I guess I don't think that there was a fault that created the passing. They received 2 votes in favor and 2 votes against, which does not grant a license. And I'm not sure what new information, I mean, maybe the new manager is enough new information for us to reconsider it. But they went through the due process. We had a hearing of 4 people. We then continued that hearing with 4 people who were eligible to vote, and they did not receive the requisite votes to get a license. There was no other flaw besides the 1 vote that made it pass. We discounted that vote, and it did not pass. And I guess I need to be convinced, why does that mean we need to redo this? Where is the new information or the flaw in what we've did that said a new hearing needs to be held? And if I can be convinced of that, I'm happy to vote for it, but.
Well, I guess the question tonight is, and I don't know if the applicant's ready to present an application, and the question would be, do we want to give them an opportunity to present an application and provide either new information or not information, and then the board can make a decision on the merits of that application. That's as simple as it is.
And the understanding was.
I don't want to go into the line of questioning about that being an application. We need to be careful with that.
And the understanding is it would start all over again, and whoever attended that hearing would be eligible to vote.
It would start all over again. They would have to advertise all over
Right.
again. It's like a brand-new application.
Okay.
Yes, and if I may, I think there's nothing that necessarily disqualified Mr. Murphy from participating other than the fact that he missed the first hearing,
Absolutely.
which is what nullified his vote. Presumably, if there was a 5-member board, I think the applicant is hoping that the vote would at least turn out the same way.
Right, and the technicality, as we've had, it was my thoughts, and I was wrong, that we had accepted that second section of the law, which many other municipalities have. But Falmouth has not. So that being said, that was why we acknowledged that the vote was 2-2. Yes.
Well, I want to say, too, this is not a reconsideration.
No.
It's as if it never happened. In other words, that we had the process, they applied, we had the hearings, we listened to all the testimony, and we voted. And that was the end of it. But there was a procedural flaw in that the town had not adopted that section of the general law. So this isn't a reconsideration, this is a whole new license. But what we're doing is, we're just giving them the opportunity of filing for that license now instead of having to wait a whole year.
I guess I do see the waiver as a reconsideration, as to why are we going apart from the regulations we have, that you can apply once a year, this one was denied this year, and I would need a good reason why we're going to set a precedent that, well, you can apply one day, get it rejected, and then apply the next month. As to a reason why should we break from what our policy is or our legislation is.
Right.
If I may, the reason why we're giving, or considering the option of giving him this waiver is simply because it was through no fault of their own that the outcome turned out the way it did. Had there been no violation, had Mr. Murphy stepped away, the vote would have stood. Although I guess I can see where you're coming from in this situation as I think through it. I guess I look at it and I don't see that it was any fault of theirs that we're in the middle of a sort of a procedural quagmire. So I'm willing to give them that opportunity.
Yes, Pat?
Well, let's say it had been denied.
It did.
No, it was not denied. It was voted. We all thought we had voted in favor of the license until we learned that there was a procedural flaw in that we had not adopted that section of the law. And otherwise, the vote would have stood. So if that vote were a denial, they would have had to wait a year, but it wasn't a denial. And so I think why cause them another year-long delay when it was really, the error was on our side, not on their side. If the error had been on their side, we might look at it a little differently. I know I see what you're saying, but I just don't agree with the fact that we can't give them the opportunity to apply.
If I can relate something, and we don't know this, whether the applicant was aware whether this town had adopted that section of the law or not. If this board has a wetlands hearing, we typically will give the applicant the opportunity, if there's only 4 of us here, because they have to have a supermajority, to whether to not go forward that evening or not, because they have to get 4 or 5 votes. So in this case, the applicant, it was a 2-2. I mean, I think applicants do deserve an opportunity to be able to have, and again, I'm going to try to be as fair as I possibly can moving forward, and I surely don't perceive that a public comment won't sway me one way or the other, but I think that's why there's 5 members of this board, and I think that applicants deserve that opportunity to be heard with 5 members of a board. Go ahead.
I must admit I'm sort of being swayed by, or I am being swayed by Mr. Jones' argument, because following this through to its logical conclusion, say you had recused yourself, Mr. Murphy, during the second part of the hearing, there still would have been 4 members of the board. The applicant would not necessarily have been denied any due process. It is simply that, and I've done this in the past, where there's been a hearing and I've not been present for the first part of the hearing, so I would not participate in the second part, and there's been no concerns raised about applicants about those situations. I think they understood full well that they were dealing with less than the full body, and things proceeded as it normally would. And in this situation, I think the applicant could have certainly looked at the first hearing and made the decision whether or not they wanted to proceed, knowing that there were 4 members of the board instead of 5, with the potential of a split vote there. While I understand I guess I can see both sides of the argument here, that on the one hand, it was no fault of the applicant, that there was a problem with the board's process, the way the board carried out the hearing. But on the other hand, even if you had stepped away as required, then I don't know that it would have changed the outcome, and we would still be sitting here saying, should we rehear this because there was 1 less member of the board present? Well, is that necessarily a significant change in the information provided that it warrants a rehearing? As Mr. Jones says, are we not simply just giving a second chance because they only had 4 members of the board present?
They would have had the option, with a 4-member board, getting a feel for the board that evening, to withdraw without prejudice, and then they could reapply this today. They would have had that option. If they felt a sense from the board, they could have withdrawn without prejudice. Because they had a sense from the board that it would have been a 3-2 vote, they did not. So there is another argument for that. The other argument is that because I voted, they had a sense that there would be a 3-2 vote. And the bottom line is, they do have an opportunity. They did have an opportunity up until a motion was made, seconded, and voted to withdraw without prejudice. And they could have come in back today.
And I would not support them coming back today unless there was new information, because there
would not have been a requirement.
Because what I'm saying is that then, following your argument, if they didn't have a sense of the board was not going to pass, they could withdraw it, saying, okay, we need to change our application so that we have a better chance of support. I'm hearing now that they do have some new information, and so for that reason, I can say, okay, then they have, I'm sort of saying, what you're saying is that if they'd had the 2-2 idea, they would have withdrawn the application, say, we need to redo this, make it stronger, make it more acceptable to the board, and we need to bring it back, withdraw it without prejudice. And so I think I'm convinced by that piece of argument that they didn't know, they didn't have a sense of what the board really was going to vote because they didn't know who was eligible to vote.
Right. I mean, we see that all the time with wetlands applications. They withdraw the application because they know it's not going to be.
But the other thing we do is, if we know it's coming up, we make sure it's a night when there are 5 members of the board on. Anytime I've been chair and there's a decision on that, I always make sure that there are 5 members, especially if it's a continuance, so that that doesn't happen. But, you know, I think what's happening is we're getting very tied up in procedural issues and procedural concerns. And I think we should be looking at how can we make a decision that's going to benefit the applicants and allow them to move forward with their plans. You know, I think where are we putting the greatest importance, on our own procedures or on the interests of the community?
But with all due respect, Ms. Flynn, a decision that benefits the applicants is not necessarily the decision that benefits the community. And I have a very strong problem with your statement that we have to make a decision that benefits the applicants. That implies that we're not being.
No, that's not what I said, but that's okay.
That's exactly what you said, Ms. Flynn.
Well, I don't use that as part of the argument that I'm speaking of. But the part of our argument I'm speaking of is that I think that the applicant would have had that opportunity to withdraw without prejudice, not knowing that there was a swing vote one way or the other. And
just one last comment. Mr. Jones suggests that having a new manager is a significant difference versus what they previously presented. In my mind, it's not, because they had already previously told us that they were working on getting a new manager. And I must say I'm convinced by Mr. Jones' arguments, even if he has decided to change his mind. So,
well, I mean, there's a lot of things that this group could do. They could have come back and apply. Well, they're asking for the ability to apply for an application. They could come back and apply for a seasonal application. We don't know that. They're asking to be able to apply. And for us to ask them everything in their application would in fact be inappropriate, because tonight we're not really talking about the application. We're talking about just the ability to reapply. So, anyone have anything left to say?
Again, I would support the vote of the waiver with the understanding that I'm hoping there's going to be some significant new information. They gave me one example. I'm hoping there are going to be other new things to convince me to support it more than I did before. And so I hope that they're going to even reach out more to the community and do their best to make this one that 5 of us can support it, as opposed to having to be a 3-2 vote.
That is so much easier. This board has been able to work to build consensus as a group, and hopefully the applicants and the folks who objected to it can work together in that same behalf in reasonable terms. Okay, so without any other discussion, I'll call a vote. All those in favor of allowing for the waiver signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay. 3 to 1, the waiver is granted. Next up, an update on the state funding of the wind turbine dismantling. So,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a few comments. Nothing in the form of dramatic numbers, but I did want to confirm, Mr. Chairman, that as you and members of the board are also aware, you at the end of last week had received a letter from the US EPA, which it was a letter of some length, but generally paraphrasing, that letter indicated that the federal requirements of the grant award, and that of course is the grant, the ERA grant, or the federal economic stimulus grant that underwrote the primary acquisition of Wind 2. The federal requirements of the grant award to the state of Massachusetts have been met according to the US EPA. However, as you're aware, they go on to say that the approval from the state is still necessary to confirm the scope, the change in scope and objective of the project, which is currently under consideration in terms of the shutdown of the turbines. So obviously, we continue to await. We're pleased to have that information from the federal government. We continue to await the determination of the Commonwealth regarding their view on the matter, as the federal government has confirmed. And further, Mr. Chairman, as the board is aware, late last week I transmitted a reminder letter to Energy Secretary Rick Sullivan on behalf of the town, reminding him of the initial meeting, of course, which he and several of his colleagues attended with Selectman Jones, Selectwoman Flynn, Heather Harper, myself, and a few other state officials, and the urgency of the deadline that this Board of Selectmen is working with regarding preparations for the onset of the annual and special town meeting. 1 week from tonight, the annual begins. 1 week from tomorrow, the special, and of course, the board will be meeting in special session on Thursday. So I respectfully reminded Secretary Sullivan that in order for this board to take further information from the state into account, we needed to have that in hand prior to that meeting on Thursday, preferably a little earlier than that. However, no guarantees whatsoever as to that timetable. So we anxiously await that response, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, and we'll be bringing to you on Thursday any additional information that we do receive.
Okay. While we're discussing this particular issue, just for the board's information, again, a reminder that we're going to be waiting for the CEC's results for their meeting, which is tomorrow. Hopefully we'll have some additional information. The board is meeting at 6 p.m. on Thursday of this week to discuss our explanation and recommendation for town meeting floor. I have spoken with Judy Magnani from the Finance Committee. They have expressed an interest in being able to make a joint recommendation with the Board of Selectmen for town meeting. So I've invited the Finance Committee, and hopefully they'll have a quorum that evening, so we can discuss together and try to come up with an explanation and a recommendation that is mutually agreeable, so that town meeting will in fact know how this board and the folks on the Finance Committee collectively think as we move forward. So I hope that that is fine with the rest of the board, but I had a meeting with Judy last week, and we were talking about town meeting, and they've been holding off making their recommendation, and we came up with this idea, and I think it'd be good. And it also will break down break down some walls between us and the Finance Committee. Typically, it's either them or us. I think collectively we can work together to come up with some ideas moving forward and find middle ground to make sure that we can benefit the community. So, yes, Doug.
I think it's a great idea. I have heard that Representative Vieira and Madden are concerned that they have not been pulled into this process. Do you think it would be appropriate to try to invite them to that meeting so that they can know what we're wrestling with?
You know, with all due respect, I'm really kind of baffled. I heard that too this weekend. I had a long phone call on Friday with Representative Vieira about what we had heard in regard to funding and what have you. And then afterwards, I saw some emails saying that he was slighted for not being asked. I mean, how do you live in this community not knowing that we've made a vote, we're moving forward, and we've sent out feelers to folks in the state, but I asked the town manager to reach out to him today, so we're trying to make sure that he doesn't feel slighted. I surely hope that we're all on the same page. I know we've been working diligently with Senator Murray's office, as well as the Congressman's office. That's how we got the letter from the EPA, so I'd be happy. We have the pre-town meeting tomorrow morning. We'll speak to Representative Vieira in regard to that. So that sounds good. Thank you. Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman, I will confirm, I also spoke with Representative Vieira late this afternoon as well.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. Next up is approved minutes of March the 25th, 2013. And then we have executive session minutes too, as well as a vote not release. Regular minutes?
I'll move approval of the minutes of March 25th.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Next up is the executive session minutes.
Move approval of the minutes of executive session on March 25th and not to release.
Motion?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, summary of actions. We have a very lengthy summary of actions this evening. There's some proclamations that we'll hold. We'll hold proclamation number 1, 2, and 3. Next is approved request for secondhand dealer's license. Eclectics by Elaine, care of Faze Gallery, 566 Main Street. We're going to hold that because there's something from the Falmouth Police Department in regard to that. Okay. Next up, request for a secondhand dealer's license. Mijaza Images, again, care of Faze Gallery, another section of Faze Gallery, I guess. Number 6, approved request for secondhand dealer's license. Jeffrey Stewart, care of Faze Gallery, 566. I'm trying to think of, there's one specific applicant. Okay. Next up is approved request for secondhand dealer's license, Cape Cod Custom Furniture and Cabinets, Faze Gallery, 566 Main Street. I'm sorry to the board here, but I don't, because they're all at the same address. There is a letter here from Lieutenant Reed, and I don't know if you're all in copy of this letter. It's in the orange file that was given to the board this evening. It says, reviewed the application for the secondhand dealer's licenses to be executed at 556 Main Street with regard to applicants Beverly Roberts, Rangunan Boudram, and Gloria Fay. I have conducted the authorized query checks and found no issues of concern. Applicant number 2, Jeffrey Stewart, submitted a renewal application, not a new application. His application did not include a waiver for a criminal history check. Absent the the query check, I found no issues and concerns with Mr. Stewart either. I would respectfully request the board direct Mr. Stewart to submit a new application with a query waiver unless Mr. Stewart has a previously existing license or such information to otherwise deem necessary. And I am just trying to find out which one of these multiple applications.
Number 6.
Number 6.
So hold number 6,
Hold
Mr.
number
Chairman.
6, so we won't hold number 4, we will hold number 6. Okay, number 8, approved request for special event Cinco de Mayo, Falmouth Village Association. Number 9, This is going to be withdrawn at this time. The special request for one-day liquor license, Falmouth Village Association, so that is withdrawn. Number 10, approved request for a Sunday entertainment license, Falmouth Village Association, Cinco de Mayo, Academy Lane. Number 11, approved request for a special event.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'm here, but I don't know, should I come up and speak
On which,
Cinco de Mayo.
on which?
On the Cinco de Mayo situation, the three things that you're speaking of now?
We're withdrawing the request for the liquor license because it wasn't properly advertised.
Well, no, it was, yeah, we had to change our nonprofit organization. I have the member.
It doesn't really matter. It's a technical glitch. You can't apply for it this evening.
Oh, you understand, the other two things are.
If you'd like to get up when we give an opportunity, it appears that it's going to pass. Do you want to give a little commercial about it?
No,
Okay.
I'm just confused on how everything.
Okay, okay.
I have no idea.
Not a problem, okay. Approved request for a special event, Stuff a Helmet fundraiser.
Hold, please.
Hold, okay. Approved request for a one-day liquor license, we're gonna hold that. Hold 13. Designate the position of K through 6 Science Education Staff Assistant as a special municipal employee. Number 15, approved payment from the Harbor Masters Department donation account. 16, approved, we will hold that too as well. Okay, so we have, being held, we're gonna, pardon me, go to vote. Number 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, and 14, and 15.
I move the items as listed.
Motion
Second.
in a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, proclamation, Eagle Scout, Thomas Moakley. Mr. Putnam.
Whereas Thomas W. Moakley of Boy Scout Troop 40 has successfully completed qualifications for the rank of Eagle Scout, a rigorous and demanding process that teaches patience, perseverance, and teamwork, and requires strong goal settings. And whereas Thomas W. Moakley met these challenges with aplomb and shall be recognized as an outstanding representative of his family, his troop, and his community. And whereas the Boy Scouts of America, long acknowledged for building fine citizens, calls for special court of honor to award its highest symbol of achievement to those who complete this rank. And whereas Thomas W. Moakley is now an Eagle Scout with all its rank and privilege, now therefore we, Kevin Murphy, Brent Putnam, Mary Pat Flynn, David Braga, and Doug Jones, as selectmen of the town of Falmouth, do hereby declare and proclaim Saturday, April 6, 2013 as Thomas W. Moakley Day.
That's a motion. Do I have a
So
second?
moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. I have the next step proclamation. The Falmouth Historical Society was founded in 1990 for the purpose of preserving the history and heritage of the town of Falmouth, whereas the Falmouth Historical Society has created the Heritage Award to celebrate and honor the individuals and organizations whose outstanding efforts have helped safeguard and promote and improve the character, perception, and future of the town of Falmouth. And whereas Tommy Leonard, whose work in creating and advancing multiple events in Falmouth has given thousands of people multiple reasons to visit and cherish the town of Falmouth. And whereas Tommy Leonard is a dedicated individual who has done so very much in promoting and bringing happiness to the people of Falmouth and to Cape Cod. Now therefore, we, Kevin Murphy, Brent Putnam, Mary Pat Flynn, David Braga, and Doug Jones, as selectmen of the town of Falmouth, and the Falmouth Historical Society, ask friends and supporters to join in recognizing and enduring contributions of Tommy Leonard by awarding him the annual Falmouth Heritage Award and do hereby proclaim April 23rd, 2013 as Tommy Leonard Day. That's a motion?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Pat?
Whereas the American Cancer Fund for Children and Kids Cancer Connection report cancer as the leading cause of death by disease among children in the United States. This tragic disease is detected in nearly 15,000 of our nation's young people each and every year. And whereas founded 20 years ago by Stephen Firestein, a member of the philanthropic Max Factor family, the American Cancer Fund for Children's, Inc., and sister organization Kids Cancer Connection, Inc., are dedicated to helping these children and their families. And whereas the American Cancer Fund for Children and Kids Cancer Connection provide a variety of vital patient psychosocial services to children undergoing cancer treatment at the Dana-Farber Children's Hospital Cancer Center, Mass General Hospital for Children, Floating Hospital for Children at Tufts Medical Center in Boston, as well as participating hospitals throughout the country, thereby embracing the quality of life for these children and their families. And whereas, through its uniquely sensitive and comforting Magical Caps for Kids program, the American Cancer Fund for Children and Kids Cancer Connection distributes thousands of beautifully handmade caps and decorated baseball caps to children who want to protect their heads following the trauma of chemotherapy, surgery, and/or radiation treatments. And whereas the American Cancer Fund for Children and Kids Cancer Connection also sponsor nationwide Courageous Kid Recognition Award ceremonies and hospital celebrations in honor of a child's determination and bravery to fight the battle against childhood cancer. Now therefore, we, Kevin Murphy, Brent Putnam, Mary Pat Flynn, David Braga, and Doug Jones, as selectmen of the town of Falmouth, by authority vested in us, do hereby proclaim April 21st to 27th, 2013, Childhood Cancer Awareness Week.
Motion and second?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, next up was number 6, approved request for secondhand dealer's license, Jeffrey Stewart, Kira Faze, Inc., 566 Main Street in Falmouth. Again, Lieutenant Reed would like him to submit a new application to provide for a quarry check.
So no need to take any action on that then?
No need to take any action, okay? Next up was a hold by,
On the Stuff a Helmet fundraiser?
yes, it is.
I will continue my objection to the fundraisers that happen on the streets of the town. In the past, we have had some of them, the ones done by the fire department. I have agreed to. All the other ones I just really feel very uncomfortable with. I think once we set the precedent for nonprofit organizations to do these kinds of things, we may have lots of different organizations, and unless there's a compelling reason why this organization is different from other nonprofits, I would continue not to be thrilled with the idea of people walking the streets collecting money from cars going by.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
While I understand where Mr. Jones is coming from, this is an event which has gone on for many years now with no objections that I know of, although I think it might be a good idea for the board to look at these sorts of things and perhaps consider some sort of policy or discussion around it, because he does raise a very good point. We've had, for a long time, it was just the fire department which held this, and then in recent years there have been additional organizations that have asked for these sorts of events, and while they don't, I know of only one complaint out of dozens of these events over the years. He does raise some interesting points and perhaps worthy of the board to ponder.
And I'll tend to agree with you, Doug, but the only question is that I don't know why the fire department would be any different if we decide to do it, specifically the fact that they do it for a national charity. This is something that benefits the kids in Falmouth, not the fact that MDA, which the fire department does stuff a boot for, doesn't eventually affect someone in the community, but I find it hard to say that we're only going to do it for one group and not another. Maybe we could develop some kind of policy that we put a moratorium on it, or new applications or something, but again, because we've allowed them to do it, not because someone's done something doesn't make it right, but I find it hard to punish a bunch of kids who try to do something.
Is this an organization that's done this in the past? I would certainly was not
Yes,
on the
they
vote
have.
for this one.
Yeah.
The person who runs it actually works for the town, doesn't he, Aaron Perry? No? Oh, here you are.
I was just listening.
Oh, you were just listening.
Hi, my name's Aaron Perry. I'm a co-founder for the Upper Cape Spartans, new youth football and cheerleading organization here for Falmouth. This is something that has been done in the past by other organizations, and it is a very good fundraiser. And as you pointed out, Mr. Murphy, that it is for the youth. Without the money, we can't really implement the things that we want to. And, you know, our program is a lot different where we stress character, academics, and leadership. We're not just about the sport. Most of the children probably won't go on to play the sport as they get older or get out of high school and college. So we feel that we're in a very good position to instill in them things that they are going to use. You know, how to be a leader amongst their peers and not be peer pressured, how to develop good, strong character. We believe in reinforcing what their families reinforce at home. We're trying to network and work with all the schools and try and reinforce what they're doing. So, you know, if it was to be denied, it would make an impact on the funds that we could raise.
And this is my question. I did some research on, I think this is a new organization.
Well, that's
This
what
is the
I'm-
first
now all of
time
a sudden
they've
I'm
ever done
asking.
this. I've never heard of
This
this
is not
organization
Falmouth
before.
Pop Warner, or no?
No, it is not.
No, that was last year.
And this is a very small organization. I just worry that it is going to start, why this organization, and if some other organization like Pop Warner comes and say, well, what about us? I think it's going to be very hard for us to say, to make a distinction as to which ones do and which ones don't. And I agree with you even on the fire department is, where do we say no?
Well, to be very candid with you, I thought this was Pop Warner, which we have issued once a year in the past. And that's what, can you explain to me a little bit what the Spartans are?
Well, we're another youth and football and cheerleading organization, but instead of being affiliated with National Pop Warner, we're affiliated with the American Youth Football and Cheerleading Conference, which, you know, once again, it's a very large national youth football and cheerleading program. We're the first in the southeastern region of Massachusetts to start an AYF organization. There's many around Boston and from Fall River and over. For us, we've been involved with other programs, and the rules that hold them as far as being able to award kids for academics, to be able to implement programs like character and leadership, you're limited on what you can do. They don't award for academics until 5th grade, where we can do it for our 5, 6, and 7-year-old flag kids. The playing scale is different. Instead of age and weight, it's grade-based. So our kids are playing with the kids they play on the playground with. Then there's a few other rules that make it different. We tend to like these rules and wanted to be able to offer it as an alternative because some children weren't allowed to play, or they had to play up, and it's not a safe environment for them.
Can I ask you a couple of questions?
Sure.
How many years have you been in existence?
This is our first year.
You haven't played a season yet?
Nope, this will be our first season.
Okay. You know, I'd like to find out a little bit more about this. I'm not to say that I'm not comfortable with it, I'm just trying to, you know, the community, and Doug say, you know, if you haven't played a season yet, we're gonna let you do this, and then you take this money, and then you never get to play a season. What are we gonna-
We are a registered nonprofit, recognized federally and state, licensed to solicit through the state as well, so funds that, you know, I see what you're saying,
I'm just saying that
happen with that.
the money goes somewhere and you never actually play a year because you lack the initial funding for it.
Well, we right now, I mean, we will have a season. We already have 2 teams. It's only March. We haven't gone on a mass marketing plan, you know, hasn't been enacted yet in order to draw more participants, and a lot of people are already looking at other sports. It's baseball, it's soccer. Will we have a season? Yes, we already have 2 teams filled. So that will happen.
But my question is, the amount of money that you have to raise for uniforms and things of that nature, that's really what I'm talking about. I don't think it's an easy endeavor. I know
Well, we're financially pretty secure now as operating costs continue. and we continue to move, we will need more, but, you know, as with a nonprofit, is that fundraising doesn't stop. In order to keep it moving, plan ahead for the next year, and be fiscally sound, you know, it's an ongoing endeavor.
Do you see yourself competing with Falmouth Poplar?
We don't want to compete with anybody. We've actually reached out with every sports organization out here saying we want to work with you. We're an alternative. You know, our intention is not to hurt any program. Like I said, we've reached out to baseball, to soccer, to girls softball. I work a lot with Falmouth Recreation. We've reached out to the other rec departments. We've tried extending our hand out to all the schools.
Okay. Brett?
I have no problem approving this request. I think the sword cuts both ways, so to speak. I don't think we can necessarily deny this because we've allowed it for other organizations. The applicant has noted they're not a fly-by-night organization. They're state and federally recognized as a nonprofit. They may not be well-established on the Cape, but they're well-established elsewhere, and they're simply branching out here, as I understand it. But if we're going to deny this application, then it would open the door to denying other applications later in the year. I think Mr. Jones has raised a good point. I think we may need to look at some sort of policy implemented within the next year to address these sorts of situations and make a uniform approval process so that we're not being inundated with these kinds of requests.
Go ahead.
I'll just announce I'm going to be consistent with my belief and not ever vote for support, whether it's fire department or anyone, of money being collected in the streets.
Okay, so is someone going to make a motion here?
I would move approval.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. I will call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. I wish you well.
Thank you very much. If you'd like to learn more about our program, if you want to look it up online, www.uppercapespartans.com. There's a lot of information there about us, and there will continue to be more on there.
Great, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I could state, I did go online, checked it out. I was very impressed with what they had there. I'm not in disagreement at all with their message or mission, and I think to be able to support support that sport in ways that are more than just physical are great. I just have a problem with the fundraising on the street.
Okay. Okay, next up is approved request for a special one-day liquor license to Casual Gourmet. I held this because of disclosure that I'm the holder of an all-alcoholic seasonal liquor license. Do I have a motion?
Move approval.
Motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Next up is a special license for the sale of alcoholic beverages of all kinds to the West Falmouth Library. I held this because I'm the holder of an all-alcoholic seasonal liquor license.
Move approval.
Motion?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, next up is we will go through the list of seasonal license renewals. Just for disclosure purposes, I'm the holder of an all-alcoholic seasonal liquor license. First two is the all-alcoholic restaurants, Falmouth Raw Bar, Pier 37. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, is second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Common victual license, Falmouth Raw Bar, Pier 37. Motion?
Second. I'll move.
Okay.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Entertainment license, Falmouth Raw Bar, Pier 37 Boathouse.
Move approval.
Motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Secondhand dealer's license, Cash Point, 286 T-Ticket Highway, Faze Gallery, 556 Main Street.
Do you know if that covers all four of the leases now, or
Or is that just the place?
It may be just the place, because there is no supporting documentation. This is a renewal, so there must be the original place.
So would they have to, yeah, we should check it, because would the place have to have one as
Well,
as
if
well
it's a
as
re-
all
if
the
it's a-
individuals?
If it's a renewal, they don't have to do
Oh.
But
the
was there,
quarries all
Well, that's
over.
true.
but I thought this was replacing Phase, was there a gallery at Phase before this?
Yeah.
Not, it was a kitchen.
It was a kitchen and
appliance
bath gallery.
No,
Now
it's
it's
a
phased-
secondhand dealer gallery.
Secondhand dealer. Originally, it was a consignment shop with one person. Now they brought other dealers in there.
Okay, but it did exist last year as a
It
consignment
has,
shop?
right.
Okay, so it is
Yeah.
renewal. Great.
Move approval.
Motion, second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, that will bring us to the town manager's report first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was pleased to attend the meetings of precincts 3, 7, 8, and 9 this past week to answer questions related to the annual or special town meetings. And of course, as the board is aware, this Wednesday and Thursday evenings of this week, we have the balance of those precincts having their meetings here in town in anticipation of the annual and special beginning next week. And also, Mr. Chairman, as you noted, 6 p.m. This Thursday, a special joint meeting of the Finance Committee and as well as the Board of Selectmen to discuss wind turbine financing and any related issues to that on the financial side. Also, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to confirm, the board will recall about 1 year ago, we had a discussion with Public Works Director Ray Jack regarding the long-awaited repaving of Main Street, and happy to confirm we did put that on hold as we looked at the possibility of an expanded project, which we continue to hold out that possibility, but it would be some years down the road. So in view of that, we're pleased to note that the anticipated repaving would begin this spring, and I do have the preliminary schedule from Public Works Director Ray Jack as follows. The drainage work would be conducted during the week of April 8th, and that is next week, of course. The milling would occur, again, on a preliminary schedule between April 16th and April 19th. The paving would occur between April 22nd and April 23rd, if all goes as anticipated. And the road would then be restriped immediately following paving. So if all goes as anticipated, the repaving process would be concluded here in the month of April and brought to total completion well before the Memorial Day holiday. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman, unless there be other questions from the board.
I appreciate that very much. We'll open it up to individual selectmen reports. Go ahead, Brent.
We had I was in attendance at the Precinct 8-9 meeting this past, the days are blurring now, Wednesday, Thursday, something like that. It was very well attended, actually, and better than in years past, and there's certainly a lot of interest in the wind turbine issue. I think one of the biggest issues or questions to come out of that surrounds the cost and the motions. We obviously have 3 articles. There was confusion about the purpose of the 3 articles, the costs involved, so certainly it's going to be incumbent upon the board and town management to come up with a fixed or a motion which is going to identify the costs, and I think we're going to need to have a very comprehensive presentation on town meeting floor in order to address any outstanding questions that do not get answered during the precinct meetings. So,
I think it's important to note that the board will be discussing on Thursday night the method the method of how we make our motion as well as the motion itself. In other individual reports, on this last Monday, last Tuesday, I participated in a housing study. They've hired a consultant, and I was in a focus group with that consultant. I met on Wednesday with the town manager and a group from Canada,
Newfoundland.
Yes. Holyrood, who is a community located on the shores in Canada that would like to attract a university very similar to something like Woods Hole, Hui, or something of that nature, and it's more geared to undergraduate, and they're trying to study the effects of what an institution like that, or an educational institution would have in a seaside community, how to make some plans for the future in regard to it. It was an hour and a half meeting, and I don't know whether we gave them our input. It was quite interesting, and they have the ability not to be fully developed, so they have abilities to reserve property on the waterfront and be able to provide for expansion as they move forward. And I was able to attend the Precinct 3 meeting on last Thursday night. Any other selectmen reports? We still have a couple of precinct meetings this week. Does anyone?
Just to inform from the Capital Advisory Committee, our charge was to make a report before town meeting. We have basically finished all of our work except for the compilation of the report. Given the amount of things on our docket, we would request a forgiveness that we would not make a report until April 22nd.
That sounds fine. I think that's, there's so much on the plate that I think it might be better digested if folks have an opportunity to listen at that point. Yes, Pat?
I just wanted to make a, pardon me, I attended the precinct meetings as well, and I think this Wednesday night is precinct 4, and then Thursday night is 1, 2, and 5, and 6. And that would conclude the precinct meetings. But I wanted to mention the week after next is the week to honor National Public Service, which for us is AmeriCorps. And Tuesday the 9th is the mayor's recognition of AmeriCorps. And since we are the only community in the country where AmeriCorps is attached to the county as opposed to a city or a town, which is very unusual. I never knew that until this week, that we were the only county in the United States that sponsors AmeriCorps. And the other thing that makes us very different is that we provide housing for AmeriCorps volunteers. We have the Wellfleet House, which is actually owned and operated by the Seashore, you know, the National Park Service. And then we have the house in Bourne, the Bourne House, which is operated by the county. And the unique thing is that the AmeriCorps volunteers actually have a place to live, which if they're AmeriCorps volunteers in Boston, they don't. They have to fend for themselves, find their own housing, and sometimes it's very difficult for them to do that. But our program has been very successful, and it was raised last year to what they call the elite level, you know, the next level up, which just makes the competition that much greater for funding. But we were able to get the funding this year. So we are going to honor our AmeriCorps volunteers I should give you the date, I think it's that Tuesday, whatever that is, April 5th, well, anyway, I'll give you the date. But the AmeriCorps, they're selecting 3 projects on the Cape that they worked on that were either environmentally sensitive or in some way, other ways contribute to the community. And we're going to have a little bus tour with the AmeriCorps volunteers and hopefully the town managers in each of the 3 towns, and actually thank them and recognize the National Public Service Week. Just so you know, they do a great job.
That's great. Falmouth's been very lucky over the
Yes.
years to be able to get some of those volunteers who provide a lot of free labor, and as we saw tonight about the bike path. Anybody else? Look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. I hope Selectman Bragg is feeling better. Motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Even though we're
Green Harbor Waterfront Lodging is nestled in a woodland setting on a picturesque ocean inlet. Green Harbor offers so much for a fun-filled yet affordable family waterfront vacation. Enjoy our private boating beach with ramp and dock, free rowboats and paddle boats, oversized heated outdoor pool and kiddie pool. You'll enjoy our attractive waterfront and beachside accommodations. So visit us online at gogreenharbor.com.